Hi, it's Laurie here, and I've been asked by a number of people contacting me to explain how I do these animated figures. So I've got a new coach caboose here, which has got the sound car in it as well, the Athearn one, and I needed to put a figure onto the step, and I'm going to have him with a hand lantern. There's the figure that I've made. I've had to bend his leg, his right leg, so he can be sitting on the step and the back in here. So he's sitting up in there. You can see that I've cut his arm off, and I've drilled a hole through his body. The other part is I've come in with the Dremel, and with Dremel I've got a lot of little Dremel tools, cutters, that I hollow out these figures with. Excuse my hand. So what we've got there, let me just use this drill. I've hollowed out this back there. I've left enough thickness in there and there. I've drilled a hole right the way through his arm, so I can put the crank wire in there, cut off his arm, and when I cut off his arm, I've actually put some more onto it. You see his arm here now. So what I've done is I've added styrene there, because I had to make a cut with a razor saw to cut his arm off. I've added styrene there and filed it all back in there to contour, so that when it goes onto his arm, his body, you'll have the arm being able to move once I drill a hole through that and make the crank wire. I'll show that a little later on. Here's another figure which I've done, showing him swinging his lantern. So he can swing his lantern, and to do that I used a tiny drill and went up his arm to get the wire in. And I'll turn this around, I'll show you. There's the back hollowed out so that he can swing. Well, too many wires here. He can swing his arm. You can see how the little crank is working in the back. Only very small, just using 10-thou wire. And so I've come up his leg with the wires on this side, and the wire that's working the crank is on the other side here, and so that's what he ends up looking like. Got to give him a coat of paint. There's another figure I'm working on at the moment. I've got the crank wire coming straight out the back, and there's his arm there, so we've got to get the arm to swing. When I glue the arm back in. The important thing which I can show you here, the styrene that I've added onto his arm once I cut it off, I've made a little ball in there, and I'll treat that with a lead pencil for dry lubricant, and then on the inside here I've concaved his arm section in there to allow that to fit in there, so you don't see a gap with the arm moving. So that's actually inside the socket in there, and that's a better way of making the figure work. Okay, this is showing you how I've drilled a hole through his arm where the wire is going to run, and I've got to make the wire with a little horseshoe in the back there for a crank wire to go onto it there. In this case, what I'll be doing is having the wire coming out his back, and the motor will be mounted inside there, which is just a crank wheel pushing backwards and forwards to make his arm swing. So he's going to sit in there. Opening up the car, we can see the wires going up to the cupola lighting, red and green, and the decoder. What they've got, and I'm not really happy about, is they've got a LED up in there and a LED up in there, and that's the illumination for the cabin. I'm not that keen on that, so I'm going to remove this green, which you can see through the windows anyhow, and I'm going to relocate the decoder up higher. And the speaker in there, it's a good speaker, but I might try replacing that with a high bass speaker just to see if I get better sound. You got the electrical pickups from, they've done a wonderful job, Athearn, doing the pickups on the wheels. So you got metal through here where the journals are touching that, so you got pretty good contact in there from all 8 wheels. Very nice detail underneath, but that's the decoder just sitting there, and I'll lengthen the pickup wires to relocate the decoder further up so you don't see it when you're looking in the windows. Here you can see where I'm drilling up the arm, so I've come right in at the palm of his hand to drill up the arm to get the wires for the 0402 LED. There's going to be a hand lantern. Where I've drilled the hole right through from his arm, that side, and out his other arm, I've made a cut with the razor saw to allow me to put the crank wire in. And the crank wire I've just made, there it is there. So that's going to go in, and I'll just get working around the camera here. Get that in the hole. Fingers. Shorten this bit of video up, I think. Yeah, we'll put this in the hole. Okay. There we go. There's the crank in there now. So I've just got to put the actual wire onto that bend to make the turn. I've removed the decoder and the frame, the green frame. You can see the little glue marks there, each end where the legs popped in. A sugar cube speaker that's there. There's the motor that I've got to put in to work the figure animation, and then the decoder itself there. So I'll try leaving the speaker in for the moment. I was thinking about putting a high bass speaker in so I get a better clarity of sound, but that's quite a good speaker, the factory one. So that's what it looks like just pulled apart there at the moment. So we've got the DC red and black pickup from the wheels, and then all the wires are going up there. So I think I'll mount this further up inside there to give me room for this motor to glue on. It's going to have to go about here somewhere, and then the wire to the crank wheel is going to have to go through there in the back of the figure, but we'll work it out. Okay, so there's his hand lantern and his arm with the wires drilled up his arm. I've got the crank motor now working. This is a 6mm diameter planetary geared motor, and I put a little crank wheel on it, as you can see, and I put a Pico track spike on there, which is going to be the cranking wheel to work the animation figure. On the side there I've got an LMZ 317 voltage regulator. I've got a diode there to stop the motor coming back and burning out the FET transistor on the decoder, and I've got a 47 ohm resistor there. So what I've done is I've programmed that to constant dim, which is 50% light, and then I've adjusted CV64, which is you can go a value between 2 and 30 to get the speed that I want. So that speed's just about right. I've set that on a value of 7. And there's the lights there, so we've got 1, and we've got 0, so I can turn the step lights on and off with 0, which is going to be the same as on the Caboose, which I've just got sitting over there at the moment with the step lights I'm adding in there, 0402 LEDs. So, and then 6, we can turn 6 on and off, stop it, start it up again. So that's on F6, which is not being used on the decoder on the Caboose. So there you go. Stop it, start it up again. I've got the figure on there now, just got a bit of touch-up paint to do on him. So we press F6. And just got a nice sort of swing, realistic swing there of his hand lantern. And what I've done inside here now, I've relocated the Soundtraxx board up higher. I've put the motor in to the side in between the two windows so it won't be seen. It'll still be illuminated in there, and I've just got to run some of the wires here. So got the linkage running through there. You really can't see anything coming out of his back there. So we can turn the swing on and off, back on again. I think I'll make that a red lantern, I think. And I've done the step lights, 4 step lights, and I'll show that later on. Here's the progress that I've done so far. I've got the lights working on the inside there, and you can see I've got the motor in there working the figure. I've repositioned the decoder up onto the roof. I've run the wires to the centre where there's no window, so you won't see the wires inside the Caboose. And I've used a lot of heat shrink as conduit for running the wires through to just keep everything tidy. This comes of course with a keep alive, so the lights don't flicker. So or current keeper for Soundtraxx. So there, I've just got the sound on there at the moment. I have tried other speakers. I've tried high bass speakers here, and for my ears I'm very happy with the factory Sugar Cube speaker. That gives you an idea. Now I put step lights in. I put 4 step lights in there as well, and I'm going to run a TCS FL4 decoder because I need more functions than what they're supplying, and I wasn't really happy with the function F5 and F6 outputs that they were getting. For some reason they weren't working the motor, the little motors that I've got. So I go back to what I've always been using, the TCS FL4s, and that'll use their lighting functions to drive the 3-volt motor. And I program the function to that motor on constant dim, and then I adjust the dim on CV I think it's 64 to whatever I want to get the revolutions, the output speed to work the figure's arm. Okay, we're getting close to finishing things off here now. I've got an NCE, I just got it connected onto the wheels there at the moment, and that's what it looks like inside there at the moment. So we've got, I'll turn the motor on so you can see it, which should go on with the bell. So that's the little motor, and we turn this, and you see his arm moving. We'll turn the light on, F6. So now he's waving a red hand lantern or torch. So I've got two decoders in there. Just turn that sound off. So I've got two decoders in there. One is the factory Soundtraxx Tsunami 2, and it's got a keep alive on board, or current keeper on there as well to stop flickering. And I put in a TCS FL4. I've used so many of these. They're very easy to use with these little tiny geared motors. That's a little 3-volt motor. Get them off eBay. There's all different sorts you can get, different speed outputs and that. To controlling that is I use the lighting function to the motor, and I set it on constant dim, and then I adjust CV64 to whatever speed I want for the output to make it realistic, somewhere between a value of 2 and 30. Most of the time it's somewhere around about a value of about 6, 7, 8 or 9, and that gets me the speed output that I want on that. So there's the speed. If I want to slow that down even more, but to me the realism of the arm movement there, that's about okay. That's what I want for just on my model. So when I'm switching with the locomotive, so I've got those both going. I can turn on the that's just flickering, but it's not. It's showing it's flickering, but they're not. I've put in step lights. You can see the step lights that I put in there, and underneath. So I just wanted to use up the functions. It's my caboose, my rules, my railroad, so whatever I wanted. But there we go.